And welcome to this Division 1 game between what is likely to be our second and third place playoff. It is the NSG up against Ferocity Red, and it's looking like a pretty big game.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because this could actually be a kind of a teaser to what we might see at LAN between the two of them, depending on if they do get those second and third place playoff spots. So could be really interesting to see what way this goes.
Yeah, and I'm Celtic Tiger Brennan. Alongside me is Rob Goes Who Deems Price, and we're bringing you this game. And I'm really hoping for some big things here. It's going to be Ferocity on the blue side and NSG on the red side, and we're already seeing the bans come out very quickly there.
Yeah, exactly. No surprises really on the side of NSG. The Karma coming in against the top laner there for Ferocity. Really don't want to see him on that. He's quite fond of that champion. And of course, the Cogmod ban, who's looking so strong in this patch. Just need to get that off the table. And definitely more of a mid-lane focus ban towards, from Ferocity Red there towards Hell on NSG. So really not wanting to get LeBlanc Zed.
Yeah, and it makes sense because Zed has been something that Howl favors a good bit. LeBlanc, very similar, just likes that assassin style, and especially because NSG have probably the biggest skill to ahead of Stark. That's one of their big win conditions for this game. Just really kind of facilitating Ferocity playing a little bit easier in that mid lane.
Yeah, and just taking away the Fiora there, so not wanting Zizzle there to be split pushing at all this game. And it looks like we might just see the Corki lock in here, but of course we can know that can go with the AD carry or the mid lane position, so really not giving away too much there with that first pick.
Yeah, and again, Corki I think is just a nice pickup. I know Acerad favors it in that bot lane, but at the same time, it can go to that mid lane. Is a pretty safe mid laner as well, especially with the two big assassins banned out there. Wouldn't be surprised if Hell does pick up that Ahri later on if it is going there, but some good pickups there with the Gragas and Braum for NSG.
Yeah, I know Limitless has been playing an awful lot of Gragas recently since the new changes on this patch, and he's really been enjoying that champion. Particularly, he does really favour those flash engages, and he's quite good at them as well. So maybe he'll see a little bit of pressure towards Stark in the mid lane, because he generally tries to get Hell going, particularly in the early stages. So could be see a lot of pressure there. But as well, just the Braum pickup Slut, of course, quite favourable on that champion. And if we do see something like the Lucian go across, that could be a very strong bot lane.
Yeah, and again, Gragas was something Limitless played even before the changes came through, so when he was slightly out of meta, now in meta because of those changes, it's only going better for him, and they do pick it up, and on the other side, you're going to see the Graves lock in, not something we've seen too much of thus far, and the Alistair for Kappa.
Exactly. I think that will probably be Graves going into the jungle there for XJ. He has played it a little bit, but I don't think it's Zizzle's type of champion. So I think that'll be more of a jungle Graves there. And we see there's the Ahri that you were talking about there, hovered for Hell. And I don't think it'll be a Draven pick. I think that's an ode to Slut there, who can only play that in the AD carry position. But there's the Lucian. Yeah, I think that's going to be much more of a likely lock in there for the bot lane.
You can see the Callista as well, with that attack speed focus is very nice for concussive blows procs, and both are pretty strong lanes, so we'll see what they do decide to go for. Would be surprised if they don't go for that Ahri, because Ahri just such a versatile mid laner and gives that counter pick to their top laner, who's probably going to have a bit more of a struggle against Zizzle in this top lane. Again, you're looking at NSG want to put a lot of resources into Howl in that mid lane, whereas on the other side, you want a lot of resources put into Zizzle so he can carry from the top lane.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting that you do see the Callista lock in here, because I was talking to NSG before the game, and they're saying that they're not too sure about if they want to take the Callista in some matchups, because they find that Devil's a little bit under practice and finding it kind of difficult to get out the damage that he would on other champions. But obviously he's put a lot of effort into this and should be able to be the carry that is needed on SG. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays on this champion now.
Yeah, and the other side now, it's time to really start locking in these flex picks. You have that Corki who can go mid or AD carry. You have that Graves who can go jungle or top. You're going to lock them in now, and that's going to give the counter pick to the top lane. So we're going to see that Ezreal almost certainly going to the bot lane. And that's going to be a Lissandra lock in top.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to give an awful lot of lockdown for the rest of these AD carries. Of course, you're going to have the disengage with the slow and the pulverize coming in from the Lysandra and the Alistair. But of course, when they do want to turn that on, it's very, very easy to Lysandra to get into that back line, lock them down. And of course, with a Graves ultimate and an Ezreal ultimate coming across that, it's going to be an awful lot of AoE damage coming in very, very quickly.
Yeah, I think Lysandra's one of the closest things he could get to picking Karma in the top lane while still remaining in meta, so pretty good pick for him there, and something he has actually played a bit of too, because the amount of CC and lockdown he can give, plus the 1v1 potential is also there. However, if you pick that Mundo, if you pick just a hyper tank, hope to sustain it out, and again, could see Batraster's Nautilus has played it in a few games thus far.
Yeah, he's very, very fond of that champion. He was actually laughing, saying that he hates that it's been played in the meta now because it means there might be nerfs coming its way. But he's definitely going to lock that in. Yeah, he's very, very good in this champion. Very used to it as well. In a couple of games, he has been able to carry on it. So I think he does really favour that champion. But it'd be interesting to see how he fares in this matchup with the Lysandra, who is able to poke him down from longer range, and he might struggle farming a little bit here.
Also, he doesn't have the Zeroth's portal option to build because it is disabled on this patch at the moment, so has to go for the traditional build. In fairness, he's already favored that. He hasn't gone for the portal build even when it was available, so he'll probably end up going for a Rod of Ages into a lot of tank stats. And that does give him a lot of tankiness and damage early on, but does mean that there is a bigger window for Lysandra to edge out that lead.
Yeah, I'd prefer to maybe see him go for that early kill, maybe disregard the Rod of Ages a little bit in this because there is going to be a lot of damage coming out from the Arya and that Callista, so really doesn't need to be a damage source on the team at the moment, and I think he needs to survive the lane a lot more because if Lysandra does get ahead, she'll be putting out an awful lot of burst onto this backline and he just won't be able to survive any of the damage that's coming through, so suddenly your main tank is going to be completely gone.
At the same time, of course, you do have the backup tank in Limitless on that Gragas. I know he'll probably go Strength of the Ages with Runic Echo's Rush, so still enough tankiness, maybe not early on, but 2-3 items in, you're looking at a decently tanky Gragas that's also putting out a lot of damage, and more importantly, a lot of displacements against this triple AD comp have to be kept safe by their Lysandra, by their Alistair more importantly. If NSG can get the right engage here, which Nautilus and Gragas are pretty good at facilitating, this could be pretty big for them.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. There's so much displacement on the side of NSG. It might actually be a little bit tough for Ferocity to set up those fights that they want because, of course, you're going to have, if Lysandra goes in, the Gragas barrel immediately coming down, blowing those triple AD carries out of the fight, and suddenly Lysandra's kind of left on her own. And then as well, you've also got Slut there on the Brom. So once that lockup does come in from Lysandra, Slut just has to stand in front with the Unbreakable and just absorb all those extra AoE damages that are coming through. And it's going to be very, very difficult for them to land an awful lot once NSG are kind of prepared for the fight or set up correctly. But it's going to be very much a case of if they can maybe get around Brom's stuns and stuff like that, or sorry, Brom's Unbreakable, then they're going to have a problem.
Yeah, and on top of that, Unbreakable is really good for what is essentially a siege comp here with that Ezreal, with that Corki, and of course good engages on both sides, and disengaged, which the Lysandra and Alistair can both be used for. But at the same time, I'd favor personally the engage from NSG over the disengage of Ferocity here because you have that Fate's Call, you have that Gragas, you have that Nautilus, and you have decent damage dealers to follow up on that. So I'll be interested to see what kind of playstyle they go for. Do they want to try send that Nautilus split push? I think a lot of it will depend on how these early lanes fare.
The only thing I'm worried about with NSG's comp at the moment is that they don't really have much siege potential without Baron. And unless they can make a pick and maybe get a couple of the inhib towers that way, they're really going to rely on Baron to get that siege going. And the problem that they're going to have is that they really don't want to group into that small of an area with the amount of AoE that's going to be coming out on the side of Ferocity. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for them to make that play. They're going to have to opt way more for that try and make a pick or try and take a fight out on these big open areas and then try and take the Baron and then try and take an inhib, because if they're caught out around that area there's going to be an awful lot of AoE damage coming in and I don't think they'll be able to survive it.
Yes, but what you said there is actually a pretty good point. The fact that getting a pick would be really good for NSG, and they have a comp that facilitates it so well. You have the Ari Charm, you have Gragas and Nautilus as well, and even Braum and Callista together with that concussive blows proc is enough to get a good pick off. So I'll be interested to see if they can get those picks later on, but Ferocity have generally been pretty good in their vision game, defensively too, so we'll see. Again, Ferocity haven't been putting the back foot too much except for that Sentinel game, and we didn't get to see much of how they played from behind because it was a very short-lived game.
Yeah, and I really want to see is at the start of this game, if NSG opt for this kind of minion block that's been going for in a lot of their games, what you'll see is that Limitless will actually go towards the top side with Bat Rastard. They'll try and block the minions, and Devils and Slut will do the same in the bot lane. And what usually happens then is that the minion wave is pushed in, and because it's pushing in so much faster, if you've given a leash on the top or bot side, you can actually lose 1 or 2 minions, which gives that massive advantage over to the other team, especially if they're able to pick up the early CS, particularly in bot lane. Get that level 2, they can do an awful lot of damage there with that. So it'll be interesting to see if they do decide to do it, because they've been talking about it a lot in their games.
Yeah, and it's an interesting strategy that's paid off for them before. I would be surprised if they didn't do it, and it punishes giving a leash, so it means that you're forced to head straight to lane. And while with these junglers it's actually not too bad, because Graves obviously is a pretty good sustaining that jungle, it's really good at punishing junglers who really need that leash early on, something like an Evelyn. But I think we'll probably see XJ not really struggling without his leash though.
Yeah, I think both of them, should be fine here, but it'll be a case of whether Frosty Red are prepared for that and able to get to lane, because a lot of teams don't even realise that it's been done until it's too late. So we'll have to see if they're kind of ready for that. As we're just going to kick off the rift here, looks like both teams are just going to start off normally. We can see Limitless going towards that top side, so it looks like they will be trying to get that minion block going, and then he'll start on the top side. So it'll be interesting to see if he does decide to give that pressure towards the mid lane, which we're talking about, because I think that's going to be a very deciding matchup here.
Yeah, and I think especially early on, that's when they really want to get those kills. But at the same time, you're looking at level 6 with Ari and Gragas. A lot of things that Corki will struggle to get away from. But Corki also has a little more safety at that point, because he can sit back, use the rockets to farm if necessary. But Dark mightn't be so comfortable on the Corki, hasn't played a huge amount of him in the tournament thus far, but again, not the most difficult mid laner at the moment, is fairly safe in the fact that he is an AD carry, is designed to be able to play back a bit. So we'll see what they do to end up going for here. And of course, XJ himself could try focus down this mid lane, but a lot harder for Graves to get a gank off here. It'll have to be quick burst, and you have to basically insta-give the Ahri, or she could just walk away.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to ignore this mid lane a little bit. He really kind of needs that CS to help him out there. So I definitely see him looking more towards maybe the top lane of the bot lane, in particular the bot lane, because if Alistair can land that headbutt pulverize combo, it sets him up quite nicely for him to land his follow-up Q, because he's popped up in the air for so long. So it means that he'll be able to get off most of his damage very easily without really needing that wall to guarantee that second proc on the Q.
Now we're seeing the staggered minion wave enter into the bot lane though, and that's going to be Ezreal and Alistair both finishing up around the same time, but hasn't cost them too much yet. And you can see just early on, even just the fact that you've an AD carry in the mid lane means when there's less spells to be used, pretty easy for Stark to outtrade. At the same time though, Hal giving pretty good there for what he can do.
Yeah, and the thing as well is that we're going to have to watch, because Arya, of course, does have that sustain with her spell cast. So when she gets a couple of them, every time she takes an even trade, it actually worked out slightly better in her favor, because one, she'll have that sustain in her kit, and two, she does have the extra pot. So if they keep taking these very, very similar trades, it's actually going to be Stark who loses out in the long run.
At the same time though, you do have that Doran's Blade to respond, but we'll see if it does come out. You can see the Thunderlord procs from both sides come out so quickly, but it's gonna probably be fairly even. I'd be surprised if there's any solo kills. I'd be waiting for the junglers to come around.
Yeah, I think both these guys are very well vetted in the mid lane. There won't be too much worry, as there's actually a lot of damage put back and forth there. But not really traded there in the mid lane, because of course Stark's still sitting on that heal, so even with the ignite, it's going to be very difficult to take him down.
Here comes XJ into the top lane. That's actually a good catch out. A nice hook to position himself slightly better, but he's going to have to flash anyway, and that's going to be the claw forward. Not quite enough. Actually flashes under the tower there from Jake, but not enough to finish him. Now it's Limitless's turn to gank. He's in. Good E-Flash. Cancels the Valkyrie. This should be the kill, and a nice kill there from Hell. Excellent E-Flash from Limitless.
That was so good by Limitless there. Predicted the Valkyrie away and was able to hit it with the flash regardless anyway. So really well played, and then it was so easy for Hell to come in and follow up with the charm, and that's really really good. That's really going to help Hell out here and really snowball this lane, particularly on Arya as an assassin. It's going to help him out massively.
Yeah, they did get the heal as well. It was both summoners from Howl down. Dark still had that flash, but due to good CC chaining from Howl with that body slam, that means that the flash still remains up for Stark, but is actually going to be returning at not anything yet, though.
Yeah, that looks a little bit dangerous there for Batraster in the top lane. As you can see, once there is that guaranteed CC, Graves can do an awful lot of damage, but able to land the hook and get himself safely out of there. So nothing really coming of that, but we can see exactly where XJ wants to get going. It is the Lissandra in the top lane. We'll have to see if he does do a jungle clear. Maybe he'll focus this bot side a little bit more, but really wanting to get Sizzle going in this game.
Yeah, and I think now you have that mid lane ahead, and while top lane has the CS lead on that Lissandra, no kills coming out of it. So actually well played by Batraster to manage to survive through these ganks, whereas mid lane did end up going down. So it's advantage NSG. What can they do with it?
Yeah, the only thing though is that Batraster did use his TP to get back to lane, so the Lissandra will have the advantage there, particularly with how fast NSG's bot lane is pushing in here. We could see a TP gank here, but there's not really the wards for it, so we'll have to see if they maybe do decide to do something, particularly when XJ is coming down to this bottom side here.
Yeah, I'd expect something maybe when Devils and Slut push towards the tower, or even if they push towards the tower, because they should be aware that the TP is not up for Nautilus. At the same time, though, if Lissandra is visible in lane, it's really easy for Batraster to cancel that TP, so he just has to call when he's missing. Similar to how you play against a Twisted Fate in the mid lane, just has to be very aware of their position, mostly out of the lane.
Yeah, exactly. We can see again Stark burning through that mana right now as Hell is able to keep up the pressure, so we could even see him going for a roam here with the advantage that he has, because Stark will not be able to clear the wave as fast once he doesn't have that mana. He won't be able to get the phosphorus bomb down to clear that wave, but looks like they're just going to take it easy in the mid lane for the moment as Gragas is hovering around the bot lane here.
Yeah, and this could be a good lane gank, has yet to be spotted. There's no wards there, so Kappa's going to walk up very soon, so we'll see if he can get anything off.
Yeah, it was actually nice timing by Limitless. Just came in just as the ward had died, but it looks like they are playing a little bit too safe, and he's just going to back. Won't be anything coming up, particularly when the wave is going to push in. He has opted for the extra wards there, so will be a lot safer for NSG here once they have that ward coverage down.
Yeah, and the Tracker's Knife is just a really nice pickup, especially on tanks who really want to just make sure that, especially in Graves, because versus Graves, you want to make sure he can't get a flank off, because again, he doesn't have any natural CC. He really has to kind of catch you by surprise to get much damage off, or have a CC heavy laner, which is why he's going back up to that top lane in the hopes that Lissandra can lock up the Nautilus, and they can maybe get a kill out of it. Nautilus still no tank stats, just the boots to facilitate trying to escape.
And
that's
here
going to be
goes.
the engage here. That's going to be a nice Lissandra ultimate. This is almost certainly him going down, and that's going to be quick combo there with the Lissandra ultimate. He had nowhere to go.
Yeah, there was nothing that Batraster could do there. He was just completely caught out. He doesn't have his flash, and even then, with Lissandra Ian in behind him, he couldn't even try and hook to the wall there. So it was just really well played by Ferocity there, as Azraed might be in trouble here.
And not quite though. Devils actually has to play back a bit, because they still have enough damage in this lane to deal with them. He just has to dance around it for the most part. Difficult to dance around an Alistair.
Yeah, and we'll see just Azraed is still holding on to that potion, so he's just actually popped it there. So his health is low, but it's not as low as it actually looks. So it's still pretty even in the bot lane, even CS wise. So nothing really coming from either side there.
Yeah, and the more conservative build from Nautilus in that top lane has gone for that No Magic Mantle and Ruby Crystal. Is going to be building towards a Spectre's Cowl at the very least. Might just build into either a Banshee's or Spirit Visage from there.
Yeah, I think that's the correct play here. I think they have enough already. They don't need him to be another damage dealer. They just want him to soak up that damage from that'll be coming in through the back line of Ferocity Red here. So it really is building correctly here. I think he just needs that little bit more sustain so he can farm up. You can already see he's only 10 CS behind, which is really good for him because realistically, Lissandra should be able to bully him a lot more in that lane. But to be this even on CS, even with the kill, is really good for Bat Rastard.
Yeah, and on top of that, you're also looking in the mid lane where the other kill was gotten, and Howl is only even in CS with Stark. Actually, a single CS lead for Stark, but hasn't been able to pull anything from the original advantage they got. And Ari hasn't been able to get roams off, hasn't finished that Morellonomicon yet either. Has to start doing something with that lead, and it looks like Limitless is thinking something similar as he hangs around the mid lane.
Yeah, I don't really know if he's going to get in here though, because of course Corky does have his flash and his Valk still up, so probably won't be able to do very much because of how far back he's playing. Of course, you were talking about earlier on, once he hits that level 6, it's so easy for him to farm with those rockets, and we can just see that there's no real way for Limitless to get in there, unless he wants to try and use his ult, but then again, at that long a range, it's a little bit unpredictable.
And you can see Bat Rastard just using his spells to farm up, because at this point he actually has got a decent amount of tankiness and has got that corrupting potion as well to sustain. He just has to continue using those before Lissandra finishes that Rod of Ages, because he needs to match the amount of, match her damage with tankiness if he's going to stay in this lane.
Yeah, and as well you can also see the top lane is actually pushing into Bat Rastard here. So we could see if he tries to freeze it. Oh, it's the TP bot.
Yeah, and that's going to be a quick TP play, but they get away pretty handily. They just had to blow both flashes, but now Bat Rastard actually decided not to cancel his TP. They're going to try to turn this. A good Lissandra ultimate saves Sizzle, though. Maybe they try to turn this back, but no, this could be the concussive blows. That's going to be the exhaust onto Devils, though, so he can't really move around too quickly. Asarat gets ulted, just jumps out, though, so nothing blown too much from either side. The two flashes from the bot lane blown for NSG, though.
Yeah, interesting finishing off the TP there for Bat Rastard. Both of his carries, or both of his bot lane partners had already used her. Actually, how going aggressive here.
Yeah, just a quick aggression. He notices XJ, so doesn't want to ult over, so playing it pretty conservative from Howl, but a lot of damage for conservative.
Yeah, sorry, what I was going to say was that it's a bit of an interest in completing the TP there for Bat Rastard. One, he probably should have TP'd to the ward that was in the brush, rather than TPing to the minion that was underneath the tower. And two, once he saw that both of his bot lane partners had flashed away, there was no reason to complete that. All you had to do was cancel the TP, stay in your lane, get the reduced cooldown and try and make the play, and also pick up that extra farm that you're losing. So I'm not too sure what the call was, but they probably should have decided to leave Bat Rastard there in the top lane so he can try and build up on this deficit that he already has.
Yeah, and on top of that, you push the wave, you get your CS advantage, and you saw how effective he was in when he was able to TP into the lane. It was only the Lissandra ultimate, realistically, that stopped any kills going down, and of course exhaust and other such things. So if he'd managed to hold on to it and have the TP advantage, his TP could decimate that bot lane.
Yeah, exactly, because of course, although Asarat does have the mobility, that Nautilus ult does not care how mobile you are. It is following you until you go down. So definitely would have been able to follow, particularly then when you've got the follow-up stuns, you've got the Nautilus stun, you've got the Braum stun. There's an awful lot that would have been able to help out, as Asarat just going to take a little bit more poke again.
Yeah, but again, I think all Asarat has to do realistically is scale up in this lane. He went tier Sheen, so he's just looking, stack that tier, get to his 2-item spike, and then really start pumping out damage and CC for his team.
Yeah, exactly, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how Kalista does fare in these fights, because of course he's probably going to be he's more than likely going to be looking for that runes, because of course it's the standard build, but to be able to actually get in and deal that AoE damage against this team is going to be quite tough, because there's going to be an awful lot of damage coming your way, so it could actually just be very easy that Devils is only just sitting there attacking Zizzle, who's going to be in the backline and not really getting off much of the AoE damage that Kalista is really good with in these fights.
The one thing that I would say favouring NSG though is the fact that they have the tanks, so if these fights, if there's a very slight misplay, they have the people there to save them, whereas it's going to be all on Kappa for Ferocity if there's a slight misposition, unless it's by Zizzle himself. This is going to be a quick kill there. Stark kind of walked into the charm on that one, and Howl sees the opportunity.
Yeah, he just wasn't respecting the damage that's coming out of Hell, and his Devil's actually just deciding to back up, but wasn't respecting the damage coming in from Hell. And of course, with that Ignite, with the Thunderlord's proc and everything, he just went down so quickly. So really nice play there by Hell in the mid lane, really showing that he does know what's up.
Yeah, and you're seeing now he's getting the advantages. He has that Morello finished. Now he should realistically be looking for roams as well, especially to this bot lane. If they decide to 4-man gank this bot lane, there's very little Acerad can do. He really has to rely on Kappa, and unless he's landing multiple man pulverizes, he can only protect from so much.
Well, see, what I kind of like about leaving Howl in the mid lane here is that he's really punishing Stark an awful lot, and has delayed this Triforce spike very much on Stark. So the longer you leave Howl in this lane, the more difficult it is for Stark to actually farm up and hit that power point. So he's able to delay that, and the longer and longer it's delayed, the less effective it's going to be, and it's going to give NSG that time to build up the stats that they need to fight against it. And also what I wanted to talk about was just going back to how it's actually NSG who have the tanks. The thing is, of course, that because there is no true tank on the side, actually, there's engaged.
This is going to be the package, though. That goes really far behind. This is almost certainly Devil's going down, trying to jump out. Good heal, saves him for now, but Stark should have this one. Not quite able to get him, misses another rocket. That's going to be the flash forward by Acerad secured. Sludge should be going down next. Here's Limitless now, but this is 4v1. Decides to ult Stark in. Almost gets the kill, not quite though. Now Limitless is flashing under tower. Kappa's out of mana, almost going down as well. This should be a quick cleanup for Howl if he can get in. He has that Spirit Rush, and he's gonna go in for it. This is gonna be XJ trying to get the damage off. Gets knocked up by Limitless though. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Where's XJ going? Can he get Limitless though? That's gonna be the flash forward. Flashes back in. Gonna try get Limitless tanked up though. And that's gonna be a good CC, and that's gonna be a quadra kill for Howl there.
That is absolutely huge, because that's 6 kills now onto this area, and it was actually just the point I was trying to make, that this area can literally get onto any one of the people on Ferocity and blow them up. So the fact that she has 6 kills is really, really bad for Ferocity Red.
Yeah, now he's going to push in that bot lane so they lose out in that much more CS. Now with 6 kills under his belt, was already sitting on a needlessly large rod. I'm expecting some big items coming from Howl.
Yeah, he's going to be turning out the damage here. There's not really going to be... I feel bad for Stark in this lane, because one, he has no heal and he has his flash down, so once this Spirit Rush comes back up for Ari, he's going to be in an awful lot of trouble. XJ is definitely going to need to sit around here just to try and keep Howl off of Stark, because if he gets on him, that's one dead Corki.
Good early Luden's pickup for him in that lane. Now you can see Bat Raster's actually able to duel Zizzle quite well, and I really like the banner pickup as well. While Zarot's portal is of course unavailable, this still allows him to, this still forces Lissandra to stay top lane while he leaves that banner pushed, or possibly force someone else up there, because Lissandra's pretty ineffective at dealing with banner minions.
And that's the thing, if you actually look at the team comp of Ferocity, there's an awful lot of magic damage coming out. It's only really XJ who, sorry, for wave clear, it's only really XJ who has that AD wave clear, because of course Corki's phosphorus bomb is magic damage. Ezreal has a very mixed damage, and he doesn't really have that wave clear except for his ultimate, which of course again is going to be magic damage. So it's really, really good to pick up that item, because it's going to be very, very difficult for Ferocity to deal with that.
Yeah, for such an AD heavy comp, they really do struggle to clear out the waves with AD, as you're saying. So, see how effective that banner is, but I can see it doing a lot here. And that's going to be a TP in that's pretty far back, but it's actually Limitless and Howl with a good flank here. That's going to be Acerad going down immediately. Now Bat Raster's going to look for the hook onto XJ, not even going to do it though. Actually going to go for the ultimate. All he has to do is E away though, but again, that's just another kill for NSG, and they are pulling advantage after advantage. Maybe they go for the dragon, or maybe they try pick off Stark here.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to opt for this dragon, but it looks like the Ferocity Red team are hovering around, so might be looking to try and seal it here, but that's really, really good on the side of NSG to pick up that kill, and it was just really nice communication. You can see Limitless knocked him back, but it looks like he's going in again.
That's going to be the E in. Now it's XJ who's caught up slightly, uses his ult to get out. That's going to be Corki. Actually managed to shut down in the mid lane, but it should be XJ going down in the meantime though. That's the concussive blows proc actually finishing him off, but it's Stark that's still alive, so this could be a big fight for Ferocity if they can actually turn it. A good Winter's Bite there though slows Kappa's engage. You'll have to flash forward, but doesn't have it available. Still might be able to get it though, and a good E over from Zizzle, but it doesn't matter because Kappa's already dead. It's only Stark left up here, but he's a little low on mana. Has that blue buff though, gonna try hook him under tower, but misses it. And now it's Acerad, not really in a position to get there. Has been trying to come from base, decides to throw the ultimate, but there just isn't the damage right now for Ferocity, and they have stuck around, so if anything happens up to this tower, they could win this, and that's going to be going in for the E. That's a lot of damage onto Stark thus far, but again, just no mana on Bat Raster means they can't really kill anyone. Yeah,
and it's going to be the spot lane turret going down, so overall it's going to be pretty much an even trade, because even though NSG were able to pick up a couple of extra kills, the tower is going to really help swing that back in Ferocity's favour. I should probably put them then in the lead for that one. And it will mean, of course, that lane is going to be very much pushed, so we'll probably see Acerad and Kappa opting towards this mid lane now, helping out Stark to take down this tower, because the Trinity Force is completed there for Acerad, and of course the Iceborne Gauntlet as well. So if they can get onto this mid lane tower, that's going to go down very, very quickly. But with the wave clear that's coming out of the 6-1 Ari, it might actually be difficult to get onto the tower.
Yeah, it was really weird though. Howl actually got 1v1 by Stark before that fight, which is what meant he couldn't come down, and that's just going to be him spirit rushing away from Kappa in the meantime. But again, I'm not too sure how Stark actually managed to kill him, but it's what gave the huge map presence to Ferocity there.
Yeah, Hell had been very low after the gank, and then, of course, I think Stark had just caught him out, hiding in one of the bushes as he tried to return to the bot lane, and was just able to pick him off very quickly, because, of course, with the Triforce and that Thunderlords, he does an awful lot of burst, so I don't even think Hell had the chance to react. He was just gone in an instant.
And you see Batrastard still stuck in that top lane, has left his banner up there and is trying to roam back down, but the Dragon's already gone, so he's just going to group up with his team to make sure that mid lane doesn't go down, and hope that in the meantime that banner minion could do some work up there.
Yeah, I think it will too, because everyone's kind of hovering around this mid lane, but there's an awful lot of wave clear coming out with the Ahri there, so it's going to be very difficult, you can see there, to actually get onto the tower here. And although there is an awful lot of poke coming in from Ferocity Red with that Corki and the Ezreal, so these siege situations actually really do favour Ferocity Red, so we're going to have to see Batraster or Hell try and make an engage here so they don't get poked out and lose the tower anyway.
Yeah, but you can see how far back Ferocity have to play simply because of the engage NSG has available to them. And on top of that, the Braum is there if the poke does get too much, but he's trying to save the Unbreakable when they really need it. Here's the engage. That's going to be a nice one on the Acerad. He's almost going to instantly go down. Doesn't quite though, and in the meantime, Slut's getting chunked out. That's going to be Fate's Call going in to somewhat save him, but now it should get him to pick out Stark. Stark heals though, so that actually saves him from that. But a good rend there from Devils does get going down, and Sizzle goes down to Limitless and Devils together. XJ actually on full health though. Howl has the mana to come back to him, but barely does land the charm. This is going to be almost nice. Hex Trigger actually keeps him alive for a bit, but not too long, and this should be the tower over to NSG.
Yeah, really, kind of a sloppy fight coming out of Ferocity Red. There was a lot of people kind of going every which way, and they didn't really know how to react. Of course, they tried to go over onto the left-hand side there with Lysandra and Stark. Lysandra went over to Stark to try and save Stark, but of course that meant that there was no real lock-up to get them off of the other people in the back line, so it just meant that the rest of the fight could be cleaned up by Hell and Batraster there. So really nice fight for NSG there.
And the TP is actually going to save that ping ward, but Devils should get out fine. But it's actually Sizzle with the home guards should have this. That's going to be the claw onto Devils. A good Unbreakable blocks a decent amount of that damage, but still goes down to it. It's a lot blown for him though. Can they get much off that TP?
Yeah, they blew an awful lot there, and it's probably just going to be for a kill. I mean, this mid lane tower is still very healthy, and Ahri is going to be coming up here now, and with the Gragas and the Ahri, they should have the wave clear to keep this here. I'm sorry, with
it's going to be a Spirit Rush forward. Almost gets him killed, but this time it should be enough to kill Kappa, and again, more picks coming out for Ferocity. Or for NSG even.
Yeah, they're just not respecting the CC that's coming in. You've got that Nautilus hook and the Ahri charm, and with every time they try to push up, they're just leaving themselves open. This is Zizzle is here in the bottom.
Yeah, but it's going to be a big wave, so I think Limitless just wants to clear it out, trying to use his barrel and E to clear it, and Devil's going to join him there now, so this mid lane is being put under a lot of fire. Hal getting pretty low. The Phosphorus Bomb does get tanked, but this could be Zizzle going down in the meantime. Not quite though. Does land a good ultimate, use his ultimate well to keep himself alive, and manage to sustain up and get his team the mid tower in the process.
Yeah, that's really well played there by Zizzle. Was able to save himself there. I thought that Devils would have rendered a little bit earlier, which meant that they could have probably kept on top of him, but of course with the move speed there, with the Ionian boots, he's just able to get out of there, so nothing really coming of that except for the mid lane for Ferocity Red.
Yeah, you're seeing just Nautilus constantly going back top, trying to get those banner minions pushing, but Ferocity have been doing well to force things in the meantime, so they have the chance to respond. So we'll see what NSG can do, because they are still very much in the lead. Not as big as they were, they only have a 2k gold lead, but it's still enough that they could try force a fight, and with that Ahri as fed as she is, really get something off it.
Yeah, see, the problem that they're going to have now is because they've lost that mid lane turret and the bot lane turret, suddenly their vision is going to be lacking an awful lot. It's very, very difficult for them to actually push up and try and get these towers because they just won't have the vision control to find out where Ferocity Red is. So they have to play this much more safe style and try and clear out the wards, as we can see that they're doing right now, so they can try and make something happen. But until that is the case, they can't really push out too far.
Probably going to see a bit of a vision game coming out. Trying to catch out Kappa going for the wards. Good wards in response to NSG. You can see that they're really worried about that Baron being taken and them being unaware of it. They're not too worried about the Dragon, as it would only be the second one for Ferocity and the first one for themselves, which could be useful, but overall isn't the biggest worry for them.
Yeah, we can see that they're just trying to take TP here. He's going towards that bot lane, so going to get a bit of work done on the bot lane tower, and Zizzle's TP is still down, so probably see NSG group up as 4 here and keep Batraster in the bot lane, try and force something in the mid lane that'll allow Batraster to TP in behind Ferocity and try and win the fight that way.
Yeah, but you can see they have no pressure thus far, so Batraster is going to have to back off while that wave is cleared. All of Ferocity are in that bot side. NSG could make a play for top, and it is Devils in that top lane. No one's really around to respond to him, so he should get that tower. It's just on NSG to make sure they don't lose too much in the process.
Yeah, you can see that the Ferocity Red just pinging out that top lane tower really have only just realised, oh god, there's all of us here in the bot lane. They're going to get that tower for free, which is really nice for NSG because it's going to even out the towers here. And it's because the bot lane is so far back, because it's on the tier 2, they're not going to be able to respond to that. And it looks like, although Zizzle is moving up here, he looks like he might run into Slut and Limitless.
That's going to be the Winter's Bite thrown down a little early, so Zizzle should have plenty of time to get out, and uses the claw to walk away.
Yeah, he was kind of lucky there though. That auto attack from Braum was loading up, so if he'd hit that, he actually would have lost out on the E out, and he wouldn't have actually been able to escape. He would have been in an awful lot of trouble there. But it looks like they're going to get that top lane tower, which is what they really wanted. And it's going to give them an awful lot of advantage here. You can see they're already putting down wards all inside of Frosty Red's jungle, so it's really going to work out for them. But it looks like they're going to lose the dragon in this.
Yeah, you can see XJ was 4 spot with that banner minion pushing. As you mentioned, the quickest wave clear versus a banner minion is on XJ, which meant he was in perfect position also to take that dragon. But it's actually Limitless is caught out here, but it looks like Howell decided to turn around. The Unbreakable Will is really saving Kappa though. They still have not killed him. A Q there. It's actually Slut that gets the kill. Stark in a really weird position, gets ulted as well. That's going to be a lot of CC onto him. In the meantime, Astarod's getting blown up, but Zizzle has gotten into the backline. A nice Q there from Devil, saves his teammates, and that's so far. It's going to be 3 kills for nothing. We'll see if they can get more. Slut going to look for something. Batraster flashes forward. That's going to be the flash force from Ezreal though in response. And Devil's already back to full health because he has that sustain in the Blade of the Rune King.
Yeah, and see, the thing is that although Zizzle got into the backline there, we could see how low he could get Hell and Devils there. But the problem is that Batraster was able to TP into the backline, so there was none of that follow-up damage for when Zizzle got in there. They're all trying to run away from Batraster. So it meant that Howl and Devils between them were able to take down Zizzle before he could really do any damage. And it meant that they ended up losing the team fight, even though they nearly had the perfect engage. It was that really good TP flank by Batraster that kept NSG in it there.
At the same time, you're looking at a nice gold advantage and a lot of teamfight wins for NSG. They need to start converting that into objectives. They get this bot lane outer. That's all the outer towers taken. They need to push their vision line forward into the Ferocity jungle and then start looking towards either this Baron or a tier 2.
Yeah, they do also have that tier 2 mid already gone as well, so it's just darkening that side of the map, or sorry, the middle of the map there for Ferocity Red, and it's going to be on them to really try and get this vision back. We can see that they're not actually sitting on any wards at the moment, so I really think that they need to try and pick up a few pink wards, clear out the vision that's going to be coming into their side of the jungle and trying to gain advantage that way, because we were already talking about the pick potential that's on the side of NSG, and because they're also squishy, if one member gets caught out, that could very quickly be a Baron, it could very quickly be an inhib turret, or it could be the remainder of the outer turrets going down.
You can see Cap actually taking a decent amount of damage from Ahri there because of that true damage on the Ahri Q, so we'll see if they can get anything off that, because when even Kappa is taking a lot of damage, it's really difficult to establish good vision for Ferocity.
Yeah, I don't know what they're really going to be able to do to try and gain more of advantage. They really do need to pick up some of these far side wards, because at the moment they're all sitting on the yellow wards and they're just walking into bushes blind, which is really what they don't want to be doing. Because it is going to lose them a lot.
Yeah, and in the meantime, it's just NSG forcing more and more out of them. There should be a blue buff over to them as well. Asarat attempting to steal it, and I think, did he actually? He did steal it with the ultimate.
Yeah, which is really nice. I mean, every advantage is going to help here. But this is the problem here. So we can see that NSG are setting up all the vision around this Baron, and it means that because they don't have any of the blue wards available to them, they're going to have to try and face check this, and it's going to be very, very easy for NSG to set up something in these bushes and wait for them to walk in, because once that the ward vision is in their favor, it's very, very difficult for Ferocity, as we were saying, to clear it out.
Yeah, you saw NSG all backed there, so now suddenly Ferocity have gotten a lot of wards down. But all they have to do, get Slut in there, get Limitless in there, and start clearing them out. And you can see they've already started on that.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure why NSG all backed away. If you're going to place the vision, you want to be able to stay. Is actually
well, this is going to be them engaging onto Kappa. The Unbreakable will went down immediately, so actually doesn't cancel any of the CC. This should be him going down regardless. The amount of Ren stacks in him should be enough. It's actually the Winter's Bite that gets forced. The Locket tries to save him, but the red buff is actually what takes him down. Zizzle in that bot lane has to fight the banner minion, does manage to take it down, so he's at least stopped the push, but this could easily be the Baron. There is a ward in it though, and they just spotted, they decide to clear it, and now it's Bat Rastard and Devils. You can see that his Ferocity are coming to respond. They have AoE damage in that Graves, they have Zizzle TPing in. Looks like they just wanted to force that TP. Zizzle is in the fight now, he's gonna jump forward. A massive W does a lot of damage, and XJ following up, but it doesn't look like it actually killed anyone, and there's still a lot of surviving members. That's one going down, Zizzle's down, Stark should be following. That's a double kill for Devils. XJ manages to get the kill and returns. That's Asarat getting a kill onto Bat Rastard. Now Devils has to get Asarat, he does. That's a triple kill for Devils, and now they should be able to push up the mid lane.
Yeah, that fight looked like it could have really gone badly for NSG there. We could see Zizzle putting out so much AoE damage, but it was just a 4v5. They weren't able to actually finish them off there in the end, and it's going to be the inhib and the base broken now for Ferocity Red, so it's going to be difficult for them to respond to this now.
But there's actually the red buff onto Kappa is a lot of damage. The Winter's Bite really would have helped there, so it does mean there's going to be more difficult to get the kill. Ren's a little early. The red buff is enough to kill him though, but it does cost him his life. But good kill there from XJ. A lot of burst on that Grave still.
Yeah, but the problem is that they got the kill, but they lost the inhibitor now. They won't be able to get that, so really not worth it in the end. They did get the turret, but really would have been nice to get that inhibitor.
Yeah, but you're seeing the Baron is still up, so now that they've broken through the inhib tower, they can run towards that inhib, or even leave the banner minion mid, then start forcing something at Baron, because realistically it'll at least be a 4v5 at that point, because someone has to clear the Baron minion. They don't have a TP to deal with it, so all they have to do is make sure their waves remain pushed, which is exactly what this banner has been doing all game for them, and then they should be able to force something in that area. And you can see he's actually going bot lane to set up that banner right now.
It's also because he has the TP advantage here. Zizzle used his TP into that, and now Bat Rastard is sitting on his. So it means that with the rest of NSG hovering around this Baron, they can do it very, very effectively, because they do have the Callista, which is going to allow them to rend it. But it means that then Bat Rastard's able to get the TP advantage, and it means that they have to be there. But it looks like they might be looking for a fight here, but a little bit too late to the party.
Yeah, and that's another dragon kind of given over for free, considering they could have taken that one, and first dragon at this point is actually pretty nice to them. But they decide to give it up, and they have to look for bigger map advantages now. If they're going to keep giving them away, this probably shouldn't go to 5 dragons if it's played right by NSG, but still not something you want to give away for free.
Yeah, I think what they're just going to look for is this mid inhib, because we can see that the team fighting power that's coming out of NSG right now is so strong, so just looking to bully their way into this inhib here.
Yeah, so it's on Zizzle and Kappa really to force the engage. Zizzle had a really good snare in the last fight, but it just didn't mean much because it was still a 4v5 after Kappa got caught out even. So it's going to be very slow poke down from NSG. Devils has to stay safe if this is going to go well, because Kappa has that unbreakable will this time. Will be able to survive if something does go wrong, and Callista doesn't really have the range to sit outside Alistair WQ range.
Yeah, you can see how much protection these two carries are having at the moment, though. Everyone just sitting on them, waiting for that Lissandra engage, and it looks like they're going to get the inhib here and just back it up. So that's going to give them, as we were saying, they're heading straight towards this bot lane to get that tower, and XJ, if he's not safe, could be caught out here.
Yeah, and he could well be. That's a good hook from that Rastard. They just instantly burst down. A really nice pulverize though in his response. Unless the Unbreakable Will Force gets chunked down anyway. A lot of Ren stacks in him, but not enough to kill him with Unbreakable Will still up. Will get that bot lane tower and can probably force more now that they've gotten the kill. It's still a 4v5 for the next 39 seconds. It is decently late into the game. Those death timers are pretty scary at this point, so all they have to do is make sure Zizzle can't get in them, because at this point, if Kappa goes in, he can get chunked down pretty effectively with that Unbreakable Will down.
Yeah, but I just don't know what XJ was doing there. I know he was trying to clear the way, but you have to respect it. If they've just taken mid inhib, they're clearly going to go bot, and it looks like they're going to try and force a fight here.
Yeah, they still have the wave clear in that Corki though, and Banner Minion is not up for the next little while. It's 10 seconds to XJ, so he'll be able to respond in time. And as you realize this, they're going to walk away from it.
Yeah, they're just going to clear out the jungle as they go. Try and keep down Ferocity Red as much as they can here. And they're probably going to hover around now around the Baron. They can put, as you were talking about, that banner of command in the bot lane. Let that push in against the inhib turret. Force probably XJ down to deal with it. And then they still need someone to deal with this mid lane as well, which means that then it's very, very easy for them to take the Baron.
Yeah, and it's both TPs up though for these top laners, so they can go fight each other in the lanes. Bat Rastard doesn't really care to do so though, is probably just going to leave the banner minion and try join his team, and then force out the TP, hold on to the advantage, but that's the way they've played it thus far. We'll see if he decides to change it up, maybe try stick in that bottom lane, because he could get a tower off it, and tower for Baron when you already have an inhib down is actually a pretty decent trade if it's for the inhib tower.
Yeah, but I don't think they even need to take the fight here. There's an awful lot of disengage for NSG here. They can just, with the limiters, can just throw that down that Gragas ultimate and knock them away. You've got the Braum ult that's going to be able to come through as well. So Bat Rastard is perfectly fine to just sit in this bot lane. And all that NSG have to do is just sit around the Baron, put at that pressure onto Ferocity Red and wait for someone to make that misstep, because they're going to have that follow-up from Hell and from that limitless engage as well. So once one person's caught out, it means that then Bad Rastard is free to do what they want, and NSG can take the Baron as well.
Yeah, and I like this 104 from NSG right now, because they have to clear out the waves, and without both XJ and sorry, quick engage there, but nothing coming off it. But without both the Corki and the Graves, there's just not much wave clear coming out from Ferocity, and they're struggling here now that at least one of their wave clears is forced bot to deal with that Nautilus.
Yeah, and you can see just how much trouble that banner of command is causing. That banner of command minion did so much damage to that tower, and Lissandra just can't clear it. And it means that, like, I mean, that tower has gone very, very low already, and Bat Rastard doesn't even have to do anything.
Yeah, all he has to do is sit there and not get killed by Zizzle, and he's still pulling an advantage for his team. It's the same top lane. All NSG have to do is not die, and they'll slowly whittle down this tower, and there's really not much Ferocity can do to respond, and they have to go respond to their inhib being pushed in the mid lane, because that will hit those super minions will hit the next tower soon. They're gonna look for the engage in the response. And Devil's getting pushed right in, but a good charm actually keeps him alive. Zizzle had to TP in though, does get a good engage as well, but it's Devil's actually managing to dance out of this fight. Now Howl putting down the damage. That Rastard with an unfortunate hook into the wall, but it doesn't matter because it's still Devils in the backline. Howl following up, and a huge amount of damage coming out, but it is Limitless going down. There's actually a lot of people left alive. That's going to be Devils going down. This fight really turning around due to poor focus thus far. Howl not able to get a kill. They should walk away from this one. That's a pretty good fight for Ferocity, and some dodgy plays there from NSG.
Yeah, it was a really nice engage there by Kappa. Was able to get that knock-up that they really needed to just let the AoE come through, because once Braum was knocked up, it's impossible for him to get that Unbreakable off. So suddenly all that AoE that we're talking about that can be blocked isn't actually being soaked up by the tanks, and it's getting onto the backline. Particularly, Devils had to blow his Mercurial Scimitar there on Kappa's engage so he could get the flash away, and that meant that once Lissandra arrived into the flight, there was nowhere for Devils to actually run. He was able to get an awful lot of damage down onto him very, very quickly.
Yeah, but this is basically going to be a reset though. Ferocity, all that bought Ferocity was time, which with their comp is good, but it's not enough to really give them any significant advantages. And you see NSG pinging out that dragon. They do not want to make this a 5 dragons game, and it looks like Ferocity might try fight them on this one, but realistically NSG should be this down.
Yeah, you can see that Corky's leading the base, but he does have that package, which could really be a problem for NSG here if he can get down there and use it. But
no,
it looks like
does look like Ferocity are going to be here in time. That's going to be. They should have it with the Rend Smite. They do get it, but do they lose anything in return? Ferocity playing it safe though. They don't want to go in. They have a lot of cooldowns blown from that last fight, so they need to play this back.
Yeah, and we can see actually just in that last fight, Graves has picked up the Dusk Blade there. You see how much damage that's really doing to the side of NSG. He's going to be putting out a lot of damage, especially as this game goes later and later.
Yeah, at the same time, you're seeing he's actually able to tank a surprising amount up with just that Maw of Malmortius, keeping a lot of the magic damage coming out of NSG, which is a lot of it. You have Limitless, Howl, and Bat Raster doing lots of magic damage, so as long as he can keep himself safe, which the Maw has been doing for him, he's putting out a lot of damage, and there's very little that NSG have been able to do in response, as he's survived most of these fights.
Yeah, but we can see that Zizzle's actually in the bot lane here without his TP, so this could really work in favour of NSG if they can get this fight quick. You can see they're hovering around here, Hell trying to land the charm, but just out of reach.
Yeah, and it's going to be Zizzle in plenty of time to respond now that the wave is finally pushing in their favour in the bot lane. And Nautilus looks like he's going to banner up a minion just to make sure that doesn't happen. Actually hovering around that tower waiting for the wave to spawn.
Yeah, you can see his banner is just on cooldown there, so we'll be looking to use it as soon as it comes up. But I also like to pick up here at the Abyssal Scepter because there's a lot of magic damage coming in from Hell, and that is actually Limitless maybe caught out here.
Yeah, but that's going to be the Old Forest from Limitless, but the Old Forest from Zizzle also. So actually, 2 big team-fighting ultimates blown, but no catch for Ferocity, so NSG are fairly happy with that one.
Yeah, I think NSG are going to be happier with throwing the Gragas barrel down than Lissandra losing rope, because Lissandra's really the engage that has been working for Ferocity Red in this one. It's getting into that backline and disrupting, because what happens is when Lissandra goes in, it's very difficult to ignore her. She's there for so long, but when she pops back out, Devils and Hell have to actually respect the damage that's going to be coming from her. And when she pops out of her ultimate, she pops out of her Zanya's, it means that they can't actually go and get onto the other champions that they're trying to fight against, because Lissandra's still sitting beside them. So the fact that that ultimate's down is actually a really big deal, but it's not going to come of anything because it's straight back up.
Yeah, you see Zizzle, because of those distortion boots, has his TP back up and will be able to fight if something goes down. NSG either aren't aware of this or think they can burst it in time before the TP. Maybe they just want to force it. You can see the amount of blue trinkets coming out though. This could be big. Howl gets the charm off. This is going to be the TP forced in now. They're going to have to turn this one. Devils is kind of locked in the pit though. Kappa's forcing him in there. Zizzle getting a lot of damage down. Blaster's onto Devils, gets the kill. And in the meantime, everyone from Ferocity is still up. Bat Raster trying to do what he can in the middle of the fight. Limitless as well. Howl's on the wrong side of this, as is Slut and Bat Raster. Huge split there from NSG is really costing them right now. Baron almost kills Zizzle, but not quite enough. Ferocity low enough that they can't really take the Baron. They disagree though. You see Kappa pinging it out. You have XJ actually healed up decently, Asarat as well, and Corky should be there relatively soon. It's on Howl now to somehow find a pick, and that's not going to be easy for him.
Yeah, we can see that this is what we were talking about at the start of the game, where really NSG does not want to be taking these Baron fights because of the amount of AoE damage. And of course, with Devils getting stuck inside that Baron pit, that's really, really bad for him, because the amount of damage that was coming down from Baron there was rather disgusting. And it's not where they want to be taking fights. They want to try and make these picks beforehand, and maybe
that's going to be a nice, almost pick there from Hal. Has to flash away from Zizzle, but again, forces Ferocity off this Baron, and Stark and XJ left so low that they can't do it. Devil's back up, Bat Rastered up in 8, and NSG managed to stall it out.
Yeah, they're getting very lucky here in SG that Ferocity aren't actually able to take anything from the mistakes that they're making. There's no real objectives, and they're not getting towers, they're not getting barons. So it's a little bit of gold, but really at this stage of the game, it's going to more or less come down to the mechanics within the team fights that are going to be winning or losing the game for each team. So Ferocity Red really want to be trying to take objectives after these fights, and they're just not able to find them at the moment.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have that inhib coming back up for Ferocity now. Now Ferocity are just given that much more leeway. That Rastard might have gotten himself caught out. He's fairly tanky though. XJ and Ziz a little too far behind to respond, and it looks like They're considering pushing up the mid lane, but realize now that they're actually not in a great team fighting spot from the side of NSG, and that does go over in favor of Ferocity.
Yeah, Callisto's only just coming out of the base there, so they really don't want to fight without her at the moment. And it looks like she's actually going to be opting for that Steric, so it's going to make it very, very difficult for Zizzle and the rest of the team to actually blow Devils up now. He's going to be an awful lot tankier once that is completed.
Yeah, but again, he has to wait for that to complete, which is a long time. In the meantime, Batrastard is going to look for more engages. Limitless looks for it, but can't find it. Ults Acerad, but he's left his team in the dust, and Zizzle in the meantime has jumped into them. And now it's actually Devils has managed to keep himself fairly safe, but Limitless cannot do the same. And it's actually going to be, again, another forced back away from the side of NSG. So they're just not able to fight. They don't seem to be on the same page, and just a few failed engages in a row are really starting to cost them these fights.
Yeah, you can see just impatience there on the side of Limitless, really. He was trying to make the play, but by body slamming forward and then flashing on top of it, the distance created there was insane. And with Zizzle sitting on the side there, it meant he had an easy route into the backline, and suddenly Limitless is left on his own and goes down. And to be honest, they're quite lucky here at the moment that Frosty Red aren't looking towards this Baron, because with a jungler down, that would almost certainly be an easy Baron for them.
I think it's what happened last time when they went for that Baron. It was how managed to chunk them down a good bit. They're actually going to try force it with Callista alone, and they need the rest of the team there. That dragon won't last long, so I believe Ferocity will be in a good place to respond. Might try catch Kappa here though. This could be big. His Unbreakable Will is down, and he is going to go down for it. Stark is in the mid lane too. They're not able to catch him, but again, now it's suddenly the 4v5 in favor of NSG. This should give them the inhib, and if they play this well, this could be the Baron. They're actually going to look for more kills off it though. They're not going to find them. Slut is on the other side of that wall with no one with him, but need that Gragas there, need that Rastard there as well. He has actually arrived. It's Limitless who is not with them, but they should be able to get the inhib in the meantime.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried there because it was still a 4v5. Limitless was very far back, and Zizzle does have his ultimate back up, so could have put an awful lot of damage down into the back line, but not comfortable going in when he doesn't have Kappa to follow up with him, kind of that dive buddy there. But it looks like they're going to be hovering around this Baron, and with Kappa only just coming up now, it could actually be theirs.
Yeah, but they're going to have to force it, and we've seen what happens when they try force it. It has been failed take of this Baron after failed take. It's looking like a Dignitas versus Dignitas game thus far. We will see if they can actually manage to either take this Baron or actually get a fight that gives them something off it, because NSG only need one fight, but it's been Ferocity taking every team fight thus far, and you can see how now doing a lot more damage on the side. Maybe he could force something, but it is taking quite some time.
Yeah, what you can actually see is, it's just off your screens, there's a banner commanded minion down in the bot lane there, and you can see the wave that's built up, so they're just waiting for that to hit into the tower along with those super minions in the mid lane, and then they're going to try and force something here. So just playing a patient game here, dancing around the Baron, because someone is going to have to go down and deal with that. And Zizzle is going to have a tough time dealing with the banner of command in the bot lane and the super minions in the mid lane.
Yeah, but in the meantime, NSG know that they're out of vision scope, but that's Acerad getting the vision for them, deciding to use that Ezreal ultimate more utility based. Kappa in the middle of them does take a lot of damage, should be going down here. Batrastard on the other side, a really nice frags explosive cast, but it's going to be Zizzle again, going to do so much for his team, but Howl's already taken out Acerad. Can he take any more? Slut is blocking up as much as he can. Howl a little aggressive, but it doesn't matter because Anya saves him. XJ is going to be the next target, but Limitless doesn't have the damage to deal with them. That Maw is doing so much work. Zizzle is the next target, and that's going to be a good charm from Howl. Has to finish him off. That's going to be a good bodying, but again, it's now XJ going in. It's going to be Kappa going in at very low health, and they're losing towers left, right, and center. No one was there to deal with that banner. A nice hook from Batrastard should get the kill. This should be the game for NSG, and what a fight it was. And with that map presence that the banner of command has given them, this means that they'll have a massive minion wave in the base as well. This should be the game. It's only XJ to deal with them. They've got the TP minion tanking up, and an impressive game from both sides, but it's NSG that edge it out, and they're actually going to try kill XJ just to finish it off. They're not doing so very quickly though. Slut might go down in the meantime, doesn't though, and they kill, they get the tower, and they get the kill.
That was really nicely played by Devils in that fight. I don't know if you caught it, but he actually managed to flash away from Zizzle's engage, which meant that Zizzle didn't have the lockup that he needed. It meant that he could only get that, like Zizzle was in the middle of three of them, and it meant that because Devils flashed out, it was only going to get those tanks, which isn't really who he wants to be getting. So it forced Zizzle to only use his ult on one person, which meant that the rest of the team was able to clear up because they're so healthy. We could see how low they were all getting by the end of that fight. If Zizzle's ultimate had actually landed on a couple of them, it could have been a very different story.
But an excellent game for NSG, earning them that second seed. This pushes Ferocity down to third seed, and it will make our that much more solidified because it was the fact that Zodiac had a chance of edging out third seed ahead of NSG due to a slightly, possibly easier run, you might say. Games against NSG were a little dodgier, but we'll see now. The game tomorrow, that's going to be Zodiac versus Untitled, will decide that fourth place. But in the meantime, we will be seeing these two again at LAN because they'll be in that semi-final together with Ferocity versus NSG again. And on the other side, we will see Sentinel face whoever wins tomorrow's game between Zodiac and Untitled. For now, though, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Risk the fall, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the